Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who's joined us on our program tonight. This program is going to be a little bit abbreviated because we've come on the air so late. I had to take care of a family emergency just a little bit ago, well, about an hour or so ago, and we're getting started a little bit late because I've been working on an investigation for you. We're not going to be talking a great deal about earthquakes until a little bit later. I want to reveal the evidence for my investigation for you. We all remember when President Trump got shot at on July 13th. Thomas Matthew Crooks was the alleged shooter. Again, I'm saying alleged. I believe there's been an FBI cover-up. An FBI cover-up of immense proportions, I must say. Now, Matthew Thomas Crooks allegedly drove into the Trump rally in Pennsylvania in a white van like this, loaded with explosives, or a Hyundai. A Hyundai. Let me show you a picture of the Hyundai that he allegedly may have driven. Now, I have a lot of questions about it. As you've all guessed by now, we've shown you a lot of information already. This is allegedly one of the cars like Thomas Matthew Crooks drove to Butler, Pennsylvania in. He was either driving a Hyundai Sonata or he was driving that white van. Now, with that said, there's a lot more to this investigation than that. Now, I'm going to ask all of you the question. Am I the only one questioning what has been going on with this investigation? Am I the only one questioning the evidence that the FBI and the Secret Service gave us? I hope not. I hope everyone is questioning it. Now, it is quite possible that Thomas Matthew Crooks was not working alone. It's quite possible that Matthew Thomas Crooks was not working alone. Now, we've all seen pictures of Crooks. Let me show you a picture of Crooks right here. You may have already seen this picture. Now, it's quite possible that he was not working alone. Both of these vehicles that I just got through showing you were possibly driven by accomplices to this shooting. Accomplices to this shooting. On the day of the shooting, Thomas Matthew Crooks was not the first person that the media announced as a shooter. Now, when I first heard this, I thought that was a little bit strange. But at the time, probably 10 different media outlets had announced that the shooter was a man named Maxwell Urich. Maxwell Urich. Let me show you his picture. This is Maxwell Urich. Okay? Then within a very short time, the media switched the story to a shooter being Thomas Matthew Crooks. The reason that the media announced that Maxwell Urich was a suspect in the shooting was because the van, that white van that I pointed out to you, right here. The van was registered to Maxwell Urich. Then we found out that the rifle was registered to Thomas Crooks' father. Thomas Crooks' father. The media immediately changed their story. Since this happened, Maxwell Urich has disappeared. Where is Maxwell Urich right now? We don't know. His social media has been wiped clean. And I'm talking clean. I have a lot of sources where I pull information. But Maxwell Urich's social media has been wiped clean. His family in Arizona has filed a missing person report. The white van is registered to a company in Arizona called Uric Armory. Uric Armory. Y-E-A-R-I-C-K Armory. A company that manufactures explosives. This company has a history of selling explosives to guerrilla groups in Colombia and Peru with the help of the CIA. Uric has allegedly been involved in Antifa protests all throughout the country. Let me show you some of the areas that Uric has been involved with. I think you're going to be quite stunned. Uric has been involved with protests in Seattle, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., Portland, Minneapolis, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Boston. Uric has been involved with Antifa protests all around the United States. Now, why is the media not looking any further into this story? It started out as a report in the very beginning. It's much more than just a report. Now, the picture that we all have on our social media and the mainstream media is so showing us is of Matthew Thomas Crooks. Now, this is a picture of him right from his high school yearbook. Okay? You don't notice any earrings in Thomas Crooks' ears. You don't notice any gauges in Thomas Crooks' ears. However, the shooter, possibly this man here, Maxwell Uric, has gauges in his ears. You can see gauges in his ears. Now, I want to show you another picture here. A picture that was taken immediately after the shooting. Immediately after the shooting, guys. This next picture may be a little bit graphic. I wanted you to see it because it makes a world of difference in the investigation. Thomas Crooks did not have any gauges in his ear nor any earrings, but Maxwell Uric did. Where is this picture I'm looking for? Oh, darn it. Hold on a second. I may still be able to pull this up for you. This is quite aggravating because I pulled all this information earlier. Okay, I've got it here. Hold on. This is a little bit graphic, but I want to show it to you. Again, what happened the following week after the shooting? Remember Miss Cheatley, the former Secret Service director? She said the reason she was questioned by a congressman asking her why the Secret Service had not posted a sniper on this roof, the AGR building. She said it was too steep to stand on. Look at this. I think you may have seen pictures like this before of police officers and the Secret Service standing on the building. Okay? This person here laying on the roof, it does not look like Thomas Matthew Crooks. He does not look like Thomas Matthew Crooks. Thomas Matthew Crooks did not have a tattoo on his left arm. He did not have a tattoo on his left arm. Also notice the position of the body, the position of the shooter's body. I'm going to come back to this in just a minute. Let's go and take a look at Mr. Urich, right here. Again, Mr. Urich has gauges in his ears, but take a closer look at his left arm. The underside of his left arm. Notice the tattoos. The tattoos on the same arm as the shooter had on top of the building. Was the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks? I have my doubts. Urich had a tattoo on his left arm. Crooks did not. Maxwell Urich had gauges in his ear. Crooks did not. Now, if I took a super zoom of the body on the AGR building, you would see his ears surgically sewn shut. You would see his earlobes surgically sewn shut. Now, I'm not going to show you that picture because it's way too graphic. I don't want to go there. Number one, I don't want this channel to be taken down, and two, I don't want anybody to complain that this channel was too graphic. But I would like to know why the FBI knows the scars on the ears where Crooks does not have scars. Something else that I thought everyone might know about the body that has now been associated with Thomas Matthew Crooks. The body was cremated 10 days after the shooting without any kind of medical examiner's doctor's report. No autopsy. No autopsy, guys. This is highly irregular. Every time there is a shooting, guys, there is an autopsy report. This is a copy of the coroner's report from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Butler County. The inspection, the inquisition, the autopsy was taking place on Whitetown Road in Butler County on the 13th day of July, meaning the same day that the suspect was shot by the FBI or the Secret Service, whatever snipers were there, or the Butler Police, or the Butler County Sheriff's Office. Whatever sniper team shot him, the autopsy was done on the same day. You can see the date here. Okay? The name, Thomas M. Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Date of death, 7/13/24. Time of death, 6:25 p.m. Place of death, Whitetown Road, where the fairgrounds were, where the shooting took place. Cause of death, gunshot wound to the head. Now, I have real problems with this as well, and I'm going to get into this in depth here. Thomas Matthew Crooks was cremated 10 days after the shooting without any kind of medical examiner's report. As you can see, the report is basically blank. Does not have any details. It is a one-page report. Coroner's reports are never a one-page report. Never. When I was a police officer, I was becoming certified in homicide investigation. I attended 10 sessions at the coroner's office, the San Diego coroner's office. I was required to have 10 different sessions at the San Diego coroner's office in order to be considered to be qualified to investigate homicides. That's number one. There was never just a one-page report. This is the only page of this report that we can find. Okay? They have not released anything about the autopsy at all. They have not released anything about the autopsy. This is unheard of in a criminal murder case. Yes, this was a murder case. Yes, the shooter shot at President Trump. In the process of shooting at President Trump, he killed Mr. Compatore, the retired fire chief. He injured 2 other people. Folks, never have I ever seen an autopsy done without multiple page reports. And nothing has been released to the media or anyone at all. Nothing. For the record, law enforcement, for all intents and purposes, have identified the body as Thomas Matthew Crooks. For the record. But how do you explain the white van full of explosives? How did the white van full of explosives get from Arizona to Pennsylvania? During an interview with Congress, FBI Director Wray said that no other stories about any other suspect was but Thomas Crooks. They had no other stories about any other suspect but Thomas Matthew Crooks. This is just one more lie from the FBI. One more lie from Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray knows about the van from Arizona. Okay? He knows about the Hyundai Sonoma. He also knows about Maxwell Urich. Maxwell Urich possibly being a suspect in the shooting. Okay? Christopher Wray, the FBI director, knows about both these men. Christopher Wray knows about the white van. He knows about the Hyundai as well. Now, a congressman named Clay Higgins from Louisiana last week went to inspect the body. When he got there, he was told, "What do you mean you want to inspect the corpse? The corpse is gone." The FBI had released the body to be cremated 10 days after the FBI or the Secret Service shot him. Since the body has been cremated, there is no way to ascertain whether the body was Thomas Matthew Crooks or Maxwell Urich. No way. The evidence has been destroyed. The FBI were the only ones that were able to examine the body before it was cremated. Now, I guess we're just going to have to take the FBI's word for it, aren't we? Wrong. I am not going to finish this investigation tonight with you. I'm not going to finish this investigation until I find the evidence that I'm looking for. I am not going to take the FBI's word for it at all. As far as I am concerned, the FBI is full of beans. The FBI cannot be trusted. Hurricane Heather says DNA can be used still. No, there is no DNA. They destroyed the DNA. The FBI destroyed the DNA. Okay? The FBI, being the top law enforcement agency in the world, not just the United States, the world, destroyed the evidence. This is unheard of in law enforcement circles. I am not the only one police officer that is fandangled out here noticing that what has happened has been a cover-up. Devon Cutmore is here in the chat saying classic cover-up. I agree. The FBI destroyed the evidence. They burned the body. The DNA is gone. Now, there was other DNA on the roof. There was DNA on the roof. Now, I'm going to show you two different pictures. I'm going back to that picture I just showed you just a minute ago. Just a second, let me pull that up for you. Look where the body is positioned on July 13th, immediately after the shooting. Notice where the head of the body is. The head of the body is on the upper slope part of the roof. The body is not facing towards the end of the roof. It's facing up towards the sill of the roof, the top of the roof. That's one thing. I wanted to make sure you saw this because this is important evidence. It's very important evidence. There's something else that you need to know as well. Look at this. Okay, I'm sorry you didn't see that last picture. That's my bad. Right here. Notice where the body is here. The body is facing the highest part of the roof. The police officer is examining the tattoos on the man's arm. Again, the head of the body is facing the top of the roof. Okay? Let me show you this next picture. This is where I have a lot of problems when I see what the FBI has done. Right here. This picture was also taken on July 13th. Notice where the body is now. The body is facing now the lower part of the roof. The body has been turned around. The body is also face down. The man's wrists have been handcuffed. Now the real problem I have here is look at where the location of the body is facing the lower part of the roof. Second, look where the rifle is. Look where the rifle is. It is about 10 feet away from the body. My question is, who moved it and why? Who moved this rifle and why? Folks, this is destroying evidence. There has been some pictures taken already. You can see that here. Some pictures have gotten out to the media, and I have picked them up here. But not all these pictures that you're seeing here have been out to the media yet. But again, the rifle is over 10 feet away from the body. Why? According to all law enforcement evidence experts, and I have the book that was written on evidence, when a police officer, whether it's a uniformed officer or a detective, no one should enter the crime scene. You saw 4 police officers on that roof. 4 different police officers. They are the primary officers after the shooting. They moved the body. They moved the body. And they moved the weapon, separating the body from the weapon. The man was dead. There is no reason that the man's body should have been moved. Also, notice the path of the blood from where the body once was. Look above the man's feet here. That's where the body once was. Notice the blood splatter coming down towards the body. This proves the body was moved. This proves the body was moved. That is blood coming out of the body And now it's running towards the body, number one. Now, there's something else you need to know about. The FBI and the Secret Service said that the police took a headshot. They said the police took a headshot. Well, guess what? There is blood running down from where the body once was, running down to the end of the roof. That is highly irregular. Highly irregular. That should never happen. If there was a headshot, there would be very little blood. There would be brain matter all over the roof, but the brain matter would not have leaked down the roof at all. There would be no brain matter going down the roof until it fell off the roof onto the ground. That would not have happened. There would be brain matter spatters on the roof, and it would have been in one place. They said the suspect's teeth had been knocked out by the power of a bullet that went through his head. Well, guess what? There is no brain matter on the roof. There is no brain matter on the roof at all. There is blood. This man was not shot in the head. This man was not shot in the head. The FBI, the Secret Service, and anybody else involved with this investigation has destroyed evidence. They moved the body and they moved the weapon. Now, what is it? What else is on that roof that you see? Something round. We don't know what that is. We have not been told what that is at all. But the law enforcement agencies destroyed the evidence. They destroyed the evidence because they moved the body, they moved the weapon, and they cremated the body 10 days later. They've now covered up any evidence that would have been available for any further investigation. The FBI for themselves said that this was not the case. The FBI said, quote, "We followed all procedures by the book," unquote. I call BS. Harry Fodder says this could be a mannequin for all we know. I agree. Where is the evidence recovered from the body before it was sent out for cremation? Where is it? If they indeed did an autopsy, again, there would be multiple pages to an autopsy, and all we have is one page. Where are the photos of the body post-shooting or at the lab? Where are the photos of the body post-shooting, and where are the lab photos as well? Once the body is taken to the lab or the doctor's coroner's office for autopsy, they always take pictures. Where are the lab pictures? How about the blood type? On that autopsy cover sheet, it does not show any blood type as well. Where is it? Where is the rest of the report that would identify the body as that of Thomas Matthew Crooks? Did they check the dental records? Did they have an explanation of the scars on his ears where he once had gauges in his ears? Obviously, Thomas Matthew Crooks did not have gauges in his ears. There would have been no scars. But where is the report? Again, did they check dental records? Is there any explanation of not having a tattoo on his left arm? Is there any evidence anywhere that would show any evidence for not having a tattoo on his left arm, if that body was indeed Thomas Matthew Crooks? Which in the case, if it did not have tattoos on his arm, it was not the body of Thomas Matthew Crooks. There's no way possible it could have been. Why did the FBI do this? Before notifying the county coroner or the sheriff, why did the FBI release the body for cremation. This was done before even the autopsy report was released. Why would they have done this? All of the evidence that would identify crooks has been destroyed. The FBI released the crime scene back to Butler County only 3 days after the shooting. This normally would not be possible at all. No law enforcement agency would release the property back to the county during the middle of the investigation. The body was not even cremated until 10 days later, and 3 days later, the property was released back to Butler County. What a joke. Elizabeth Hutchinson just gave us a $100 super chat. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We appreciate that so much. God bless you for that. Elizabeth says we must keep fighting for the truth, and I will. I promise you that. I'm not done. I just gave you a super chat, thumbs up, and I also gave you an EMA sticker on your super chat. Thank you so much for that. Now, I have some other issues with this. Actually, I have a lot of issues with this. I'm not done. I'm not done by a long stretch of imagination. What happened within 3 days after the shooting? Here you see an FBI agent on the roof. What is he doing? He is washing the evidence of the blood splatter off the roof. There was a lot of blood draining off the body all the way down the roof, and he's washing it off the roof. He is destroying evidence. He is destroying evidence. This is unheard of. Within 3 days after the shooting, the FBI is washing bodily evidence off the roof. Why? Why did the FBI wash the crime scene down? And actually, the FBI washed the crime scene down the next day after the shooting. Even 48 hours hadn't transpired until the FBI was up there washing the evidence down the drain, down the ground. They did it the following day because they knew someone would be up there to inspect it, to investigate. Again, I'm asking the question, did the DNA belong to Thomas Matthew Crooks or Maxwell Urich? I guess we may never know, because we have not even seen the evidence of the shooting of the President of the United States, President Kennedy. Yes, they have released some evidence, but they have not released it all. This past weekend, President Trump exclaimed on Friday that as soon as he took office as President of the United States, he would release evidence on the JFK shooting. All of it. All of it. I have great pains here. I have been investigating President Trump's shooting for almost a month now. The official report says that Thomas Matthew Crooks died of a single gunshot wound to the head. I just showed you evidence that that wasn't the case. Blood does not flow from the body where the man was shot, except if it was someplace else from the head, other than the head. A gunshot wound to the head, as the top page of the autopsy report says, wasn't from the head at all. There's no way it could have been. This goes against any evidence found on the roof of the crime scene. Again, I'm not going to show you all the pictures that I have. It's too graphic. But I did show you blood stains on the roof. You see the FBI up there erasing that evidence. The truth of the matter is this. Now, Crooks actually died of a gunshot wound to the head. There would have been a river of blood flowing down the rooftop. There would hardly be any blood at all if he was shot through the head, as they said he was. Only tiny amounts of blood and all kinds of brain matter smattered all over the roof area where he was laying. This is what would have been the case if he had been shot through the head. Also, how many teeth were missing from the body after the gunshot? Guess what? They said that his front teeth and his molars were missing from the gunshot wound. Where is the evidence? They have not shown us any evidence at all. Hurricane Heather said there would have been cranial matter all over. I agree. All over. We don't see any teeth. We haven't seen any evidence at all showing he was shot through the head. Now, another person from Washington, D.C., Senator Chuck Grassley, a Democrat from Iowa, was also conducting his own investigation. Senator Grassley went over to the gun range where Thomas Crooks shot. The gun range where Thomas Crooks shot. He pulled data from the gun range showing, yes, Thomas Crooks shot there. He also shot with FBI agents. FBI agents even on the day that Thomas Crooks was practicing at the gun range. But there's something else that you need to know about. Let me show you one single page from the gun shop. Right here. You see Thomas Crooks' signature here. He signed in here on this particular day. This was 9/28/23 last year. September 28th, 2023 at 9:11 a.m. Okay? Who else shot at 9:11 a.m.? The name has been redacted. Inquiring minds want to know who else shot with Thomas Matthew Crooks. The same day and at the same time. Okay? Now, who else shot? Normally, this would not be any big deal, except this man allegedly shot at the president and killed one other person and wounded two others severely. Okay? Now, he shot again at the same range 7 days before the shooting on July 13th. All the names have been redacted except for Thomas Crooks. Who is the person that was shooting with Thomas Crooks? Don't you think that we have a right to know who is shooting with Crooks? I agree. I agree. Ernie Martinez says, bless you all. Thank you, Emergency Management Associates, for the great work and information here. It's not done. Do you think it would have been important information to see whose name was redacted and why? Why was the information redacted? Inquiring minds want to know. Now I have something else to show you here. There's a lot of information. There is a ton of information here. And I'm just barely scratching the surface. There are telephone records of a gentleman that went back and forth between Thomas Crooks' home and the FBI agency in Washington, D.C. There were 4 different cell phones that pinged at Thomas Crooks' home. One of them happened to be a person that went back and forth between Thomas Crooks' home and the FBI office in Washington, D.C. Who was it? Why was there someone from the FBI agent visiting Thomas Crooks before the shooting? Why? Inquiring minds want to know. Was this collusion? We don't see anybody from the Secret Service linked to Thomas Crooks. But we do see evidence of someone from the FBI going between Washington, D.C. and Thomas Crooks' home in Pennsylvania. Okay? Don't you think this information would be important? Using cell phone data, information was collected from 4 devices where Thomas Crooks lived. Again, one of those devices came back and forth between Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania. Who was that person? We want the name of the person, FBI. We want the name of the person. We expect to know the name of that person, FBI. Was this the same person whose name was on the redacted shooting range sign-in sheet? Was it the same person? A little while ago I showed you the location of the gun and the location of the body. 10 feet away from the body. That's a little bit strange. That would never happen. That should have never happened. And yet it did. There are so many things wrong with this investigation. So many things that are wrong with this investigation. Who moved the body and why? Who moved the gun and why? Who walked into the shooting range with Thomas Crooks that day? Who was visiting Thomas Crooks from Washington, D.C. FBI office? Who was it? I also want to know what the name of the autopsy medical examiner was. What is his name? I want to know everything that he did. I'm tough enough. Again, I've attended 10 different autopsies to qualify as a homicide investigator. Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know who the medical examiner is. I want to see the rest of the medical examiner's report. Allegedly, there is no report at all. I want to know why that white van was full of explosives and how it got to Pennsylvania from Arizona. I want to find out more about Maxwell Yurick, Y-E-A-R-I-C-K. I want to know more evidence about him. All of a sudden, after Thomas Crooks allegedly shot President Trump and they killed Crooks, who was really the person that got killed? Why was Mr. Urick's social media taken down? It's as if he doesn't exist. Where's all that evidence? Where is it? Inquiring minds want to know. I'm disgusted. I am appalled. I am appalled, guys. This should never have happened. Not now, not ever. Congressman Clay Higgins from Louisiana was the first congressman that came out and started inquiring what was going on. This man here, Clay Higgins, congressman from Louisiana. He went and inquired after the body. The FBI said, we don't have the body. Where's the body? Well, we sent to be cremated. We sent it to be cremated. There's no body left. Where's the evidence? Where is the evidence, guys? It was destroyed by the FBI. Not just that. Not just that. Like I said later, Senator Grassley from Iowa came up, and he's a Democrat. It has nothing to do with the Republican Party at all. Senator Grassley pulled those data sheets from the gun shop. But again, material was redacted. Why? Congressmen and senators want to know why. Why is the evidence destroyed? Why? What is the FBI and the Secret Service covering up? Inquiring minds want to know. Now, before the shooting, 90 minutes before President Trump got shot, the Secret Service and police officers were texting each other, such as this text message here. Let me pull this thing up so you can see it. I want to blow it up here. Again, this is a picture of Thomas Matthew Crooks sitting on a wall right next to the AGR building. The police officers text message each other saying, the kid learning around the building that we are in, AGR. I believe it is. I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards the stage. FYI. If you want to know Secret Service snipers to look out, I lost sight of him. Also a bike with a backpack sitting next to it on the rear of a building that was not seen earlier. That was just one text message from this shooter, allegedly. Again, this is really Thomas Matthew Crooks. More text messages. Let me show you all these text messages. This was a text message telling the other officers that the bike and the backpack was not seen earlier next to the building. It was not seen earlier. Another one here. And I think I showed you this earlier. I'm sorry, this is not the text message. This is the information regarding where Maxwell Urich had been involved with guerrilla groups and Antifa all over the country. I told you earlier that there was one police officer that was in the second-story building right next to the AGR building. He had to leave the venue at 4:30 p.m. He left the venue and got into his car and put his rifle in his car. He said, I'm just letting you know because you see me go out with a rifle, and put it in my car. The suspect also saw him get in his car. Meaning, if it was Crooks, he saw the police officer leave the building right next to the AGR building where the other snipers were and getting into his car. So that tells us that Matthew Thomas Crooks, if it was indeed him, knew that the snipers were in that other building. Okay? It goes on. It gets worse. So he knows you guys are up there. He's sitting to the direct right on a picnic table about 50 yards from the east. This is 90 minutes from before the shooting. 90 minutes before the shooting. Why am I showing you all this? You need to know about it. FBI or FYI, if you want to notify Secret Service snipers to look out, I lost sight of him, also a bike with a backpack. Another text message. Someone followed our lead and snuck in and parked by our cars. Just so you know, that was a white van. That was a white van. Who else snuck in that white van and parked? Was it Urich, or was it indeed Thomas Matthew Crooks? Who was it? Folks, I have real issues with this, as you know. I spent the last 4 weeks going over all the evidence. I have come to the conclusion that there is no conclusion as of yet. because the top law enforcement organization from our government has covered it up. They've covered it up. They don't want any information to go out at all. At all. And yet we are supposed to give our trust to our government. The trust just flew out the window. The trust I had in my government flew out the window a long time ago. This just proves to me that they can't be trusted. I went into the federal government as a federal law enforcement officer in the 80s, late 80s. I left San Diego on April 3rd, 2000. I was fed up with law enforcement there because we were getting shot at by gang members. Gang members were killing police officers, not me. They were killing federal police officers, they were killing sheriff's deputies, and killing San Diego police. I went to way too many funerals when I was in San Diego. I had gang members stalking me when I was on duty. I did not want to be the next statistic laying on the ground. So I moved to Denver. I found out in Denver that Denver was not any better than San Diego was. I just traded gang member for gang member. Within the first few months of being in Denver, I arrested another suspect that I had arrested previously twice in San Diego. A suspect named Hernandez in San Diego. I had arrested him twice previously on felonies. Felonies. I put him in prison. For some reason, he was released from prison. He made his way to Denver. One of my partners and I had gotten on a light rail train headed from one station to another. As we got off of this particular station, I'm not going to tell you what station it was, because officers, federal police officers, railroad security, and city police from various cities throughout the Denver area ride those rails. They get off, park their cars, and ride the rails. I got off the train at one particular station with my partner. We saw Mr. Hernandez in a parking lot at that particular light rail station. He was trying to pull a purse away from a little old lady, 70 plus years old as I remember. That was felony purse snatching. Felony purse snatching, that's number one. He had also, prior to grabbing that woman's purse, tried and broke into several cars, pulling items out of those cars. Breaking and entering. A felony there. Multiple felonies. My partner and I ran through the train station, across the grass, over a 4-foot fence, and across a parking lot, and tackled that man in the parking lot, forcing him to give away the purse to that little old lady. We put him on the ground face down. We're attempting to bring him into custody, put handcuffs on his wrists. He turned his face to my left like this, looked right up at me. He said, "Tyler." He did not see my nameplate on my right side. He looked up to my left, where my badge was. What's wrong with this picture? He knew me. He knew that I had arrested him twice previously in San Diego. Felonies. Felonies. This man was going back to prison, and I was going to make sure of that. I knew who he was. I put him in county jail for the night. I went home that day after I had filed my report. I went home that day and I pulled copies of my report from San Diego. I kept copies of every police report I ever wrote for 3 years. That way, if I ever had to go back to court on anyone, I had the paperwork. In this case, I had this on Hernandez. I pulled the paperwork and I called the district attorney the next morning. And I told the DA in Denver what I had. He said, bring it by. So when I came into work that day, I stopped by the district attorney's office on my way to work. I gave him a copy of my report. I copied it for him so I could keep the original. He filed that report in the file for this man. We got to a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is an evidentiary hearing to see if the judge wants to keep this man in jail or release him or let him go on bail. At that preliminary hearing, the judge had my paperwork. He went through it like this. Interesting. Page after page after page. Looks like you've done a good job, Officer Tyler, well documented. Thank you, Your Honor. He continued going through my paperwork reports. Page after page. Then he looks up at counsel, the district attorney and the defense attorney. He said, counsel, I've gone over Officer Tyler's reports, both the current report on Mr. Hernandez and the past reports from San Diego. He's committed felonies in San Diego. This would be his third strike. I'm going to go from this hearing today and go right directly to sentencing, because there's all kinds of evidence to point to that direction. The defense attorney said, you can't do that, Your Honor, and the judge says, yes, I can. I'm the judge. We put him away in Supermax in southern Colorado. Supermax in southern Colorado. Supermax is where they keep the worst prisoners of the world. The man who was arrested in the Oklahoma bombing case was sitting at Supermax in southern Colorado. That's where this man is still sitting today. I believe in justice, ladies and gentlemen. I believe in justice. In this case, from Pennsylvania, there is no justice. I don't believe we have the right suspect, number one. If we do, there's multiple shooters. If we do, there's multiple shooters, and there may be still someone on the loose. What is his name? Maxwell Urich. Maxwell Urich. The social media has been completely erased. He's a non-person. They consider him a non-person, guys. That's ridiculous. That is completely ridiculous. Again, I believe our justice system has went butts up. They don't know their hole from the head, from their head and up from a hole in the ground. They don't. That's what's so bad about this. They don't know their head from the hole in the ground. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse every time I turn around. I'm disgusted. And I think everybody, anywhere within the sound of my voice, should also be disgusted. We've lost faith in our justice system. We've lost faith in our livelihood today. We've lost faith with everything. It's now to the point that each of us has to be weary of what we're going through. We have to stay on top of everything. And if we don't, we're screwed. If we don't stay on top of everything, we're done with. Plain and simple. I don't want to be done with. I do not want to be done with. I think humanity still exists, and I think since we exist, that we need to get through what we have to do to make our will be known. And make sure that we have the data we need to make sure that we are getting what we need out of our politicians. And right now, that's not much. Literally, right now, that's not much, unfortunately. What I'm asking you to do is keep an eye on this with me. If you see irregularities, let me know. Let me know so I can go in and do more investigation. And my investigation did not stop with what I gave you today. My investigation will be ongoing. Now, while I'm here, I want to talk about some earthquakes, if you'll let me. Over here in Alaska. This is at the towards the eastern border with Alaska and the western border with Canada. This is a 1.9 tremor here. Circle, Alaska. Just east of here, on Friday, actually Saturday, we had a 5.0 up here in Canada. A 5.0 large quake in Canada. But the United States Geological Survey did not announce it. There was no evidence of the 5.0 earthquake at the border of Alaska and Canada at all. I had to pull that information from Earthquake Canada. Because USGS didn't show it. Why not? Why did USGS not show us the information? Inquiring minds want to know. I think it's very wrong for the agency to not show us what's happening, to not even be cognizant of what's going on. I think it's wrong. And if they're going to do that, they should not be in power. They should not have any power at all. Because every citizen, and I don't care whether it's Canada or the United States, has every right to the information. We have every right to the information. And it should not be withheld from anybody. Plain and simple. It should not ever be withheld from anybody. Okay? I just smell bullets when I see this happen. It irritates me to no end. It really does. Like I said, I'm not done here. I'm far from being done. I hope all of you know that. I am far from being done. I'm tired of USBS. I'm tired of all these agencies lying to us, because these agencies are going to get people killed. These agencies are going to get people killed. I've been watching it happen too many times for too very long. Too very long. Over here in southern Alaska here, this is a 4.0 near Sandpoint, Alaska. Sandpoint, Alaska. This is a 4.8 near Falls Pass. Both of these earthquakes are just under large earthquake range. If they had had these as a 4.9, I would consider them 5.0 earthquakes. Yesterday we showed you an earthquake here at 5.0, just south of Sandpoint, Alaska. Now, last week we had a major earthquake, a very major earthquake over just off the east coast of Kamchatka Peninsula, over here in Russia, over here to the west side of the Aleutian Island Fault Zone. A 7.8 earthquake. Yesterday we had a 5.0 over here south of Sandpoint. Does that relieve me that we've had a 5.0 here? Possibly a release of energy from that 7.8? I do not think it's a release of any kind of energy. I believe we're still probably looking for a 6.0, at least. At least a 6.0 here. That 6.0 could be between Kamchatka Peninsula and this 4.0 here today, which yesterday was a 5.0. Somewhere between this earthquake and Kamchatka Peninsula, I believe we've got another 6.0 earthquake. Or possibly over here into mainland Alaska here. Possibly all the way over here. It could happen. Needless to say, I am also not letting the earthquake watch go off of Alaska yet. At least not till, I want to say, Friday this week. Then I will release Alaska from a large earthquake warning, because I still believe there's energy pent up here. Okay? Alaska, you need to be watching for at least a 5.0 to a 6.0 earthquake. Down here off the coast of Honshu, Japan. Today we had this earthquake here, a 4.2 earthquake, just off the coast of Honshu, Japan. This other earthquake on land, guys, this other earthquake on land is still here. This is a 4.6 earthquake. This is over near Tokyo, Yamato, Japan. A 4.6 moderate earthquake. This 4.6 is a moderate earthquake. I don't care what USGS says. USGS is calling these earthquakes, these moderate earthquakes, light earthquakes. These earthquakes here, 4.6 will do moderate damage. I don't know why they're calling them light earthquakes. They do not do light damage. These moderate earthquakes knock pictures off of walls. They knock books and knickknacks off of shelves. They rattle dishes and plates, and they sometimes rattle them enough to throw the plates and dishes off out of the shelves onto the floor. These are moderate earthquakes, and I don't care what the agency says they are. They're wrong. USGS started it, and the other agencies have followed. They are not light earthquakes, they are moderate earthquakes, and I don't care where they are. I don't care where they are. Let's go south here. I want to go over here to Indonesia. Indonesia here. This is Kepulauan Babar, Indonesia. Central Indonesia. East Central Indonesia. This is a large 5.8 earthquake. 5.5 to 5.9 are considered to be very large earthquakes, and that's where this is. It's a very large earthquake here. A 5.8 earthquake, guys. That is a large earthquake, a very large quake. This is 78 kilometers deep. This is still a very shallow earthquake. A very shallow earthquake. Over here near Java, Tombolaka, Indonesia. This is a 4.6 earthquake. Just like it's 5.8 to the east here, this is in the water. The water, for the most part, has absorbed the shock waves from these quakes. I don't believe anybody on land felt these quakes. Also, these are not the only earthquakes here in Indonesia. There are about 26 earthquakes here in Indonesia. There are several earthquakes over here north of there in the Philippines. USGS is not talking about those either. We go further east over here into Papua New Guinea. This is a moderate 4.7 earthquake here. Also 10 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. The other day there were 5 earthquakes over here in Australia. Yesterday there was another I think it was a 4.6 over in southeastern Australia. I'm going to show you where that earthquake was. And I'm sorry I didn't show it to you yesterday. The earthquake was down here. Again, southeastern Australia. This is in the volcanic region. This area over on the eastern side of Australia is a volcanic region. And you can see the lava fields here. You can see the lava fields here, up and down eastern Australia here. Anytime there's an earthquake here, it is magma-related, magma beneath the surface, trying to get to the surface. It was a moderate earthquake yesterday. We've been seeing a lot of moderate earthquakes and small earthquakes in this region as of late. We're still on earthquake watch here in Australia. I believe we're probably going to have a 5.0 here in Australia very soon. Very soon. Going over here into the Kermadec Island region north of New Zealand. This is a 5.1 large earthquake here. This is 53 kilometers deep. This is a very shallow earthquake. The Kermadec Islands are unoccupied islands. The only things that are over here on the Kermadec Islands are birds. It's a bird sanctuary. Multiple islands bird sanctuary here. Humans can't reside here on the Kermadec Islands. Why? Because, folks, during low tide, no boats can even get in here or leave here. They have to get in and leave during high tide. Otherwise, the lava rock beneath the surface of the ocean will tear the boats apart and kill everybody. Of course, they don't want that to happen. Over here south of there in New Zealand, they're not showing any earthquakes here. What a fallacy that is. There are 18 earthquakes here in New Zealand. U.S. is not showing any of them. Those earthquakes range from a 2.38 down here in southern, the South Island here in New Zealand, over to the North Island where most of those earthquakes are. The majority of the earthquakes are over here on the North Island. Most of these are 3.2, 3.5, 3.7, and 3.8 earthquakes. And out here in the catcher's mitt. Out here in the catcher's mitt. Okay? This catcher's mitt is called the Bay of Plenty. Out here in the catcher's mitt, we have more earthquakes here. Why? We have volcanoes here. We have volcanoes just off the coast here. Right there. Each of these islands is volcanic related. Each of these islands here in the Bay of Plenty are volcano related. This island here is White Island Volcano. Just a few years ago, there was a volcanic eruption here, and now this volcano is now erupting again. The White Island Volcano. A few years ago, a cruise ship let off passengers here, and they were killed. They were actually, not all of them were killed, but some of them were killed, and many of them severely injured by the eruption of that volcano while those people were on the island. Again, that island is now still erupting here. White Island, New Zealand. You can't forget that. I don't want to forget it. Further north from the Kermadec Islands here is the southern Fiji Islands. This is a 4.8 moderate earthquake here. This is 144 kilometers deep. 144 kilometers deep. Now, I want to go east here, or west, excuse me, I want to go west. I want to go over here to Tajikistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan. There are 5 earthquakes here. 5 earthquakes. This is a 5.0 earthquake. USGS downgraded to 4.9. It's a 5.0 large earthquake. This is Tajikistan. This is 43 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. 4 other earthquakes are just as deadly. They're all moderate earthquakes. Rarely do they ever kill anyone, except in this area. People that live in the hills here, in the mountains here, live in caves. And when they do that, caves collapse, and some people die. 5 earthquakes in this region here today. Okay? USGS is only showing 1. What a travesty that is. Going over here to the border region of Turkey and Syria here. In this border region between Turkey and Syria right here. We have 20 earthquakes here today. 20 earthquakes, ranging from 1.2 tremors all the way up to 3.5 earthquakes. 20 earthquakes here today. Why? A year and a half ago, February 3rd, 2023, we had a major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. All we're seeing now are aftershocks. We're going to see aftershocks from that quake for years to come. Just because it's a year and a half later, it doesn't mean the earthquakes are going to stop. They're not. The Earth is still getting back to where it should be, or where it wants to be. That means there's going to be earthquakes as the ground settles. There's going to be aftershocks in this region probably for 3 to 5 years. And I talked to you the other day about this earthquake. 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. It created a 14-mile long fissure. A 14-mile long fissure here. 8 stories deep. Deep enough for an 8-story building to fit in it. 14 miles long. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Why have I kept repeating that? Because that's what we are expecting in the Pacific Northwest. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. We've seen it happen before. We've seen this happen before. Pam Miller says YouTube is messing with her. I know it's messing with me too. Since I've been on the air, they came knocking and put up 4 videos here from various organizations and companies trying to peddle their wares. But they're not paying me for it. Unfortunately, they're not paying me and they're not paying you either. YouTube is getting to suck big time. YouTube hardly ever did this before election time this year. All of a sudden, they're just taking advantage of it. Sad. There are earthquakes up here in northern Turkey, earthquakes down here in central Turkey, and earthquakes over here along the western coast of Turkey. Off the coast, we're getting earthquakes here in the islands here. These islands here just west of Turkey are called the Kermadec Islands here. These Kermadec Islands belong to Greece. Most of these earthquakes in the Kermadec Islands are just 1.2, 1.5, 1.7 tremors. However, there are some 2.4s and 2.5s here as well. You see Crete, Greece down here. This Anatolian fault coming out of Syria and Turkey here goes south here around Cyprus and goes westbound under just south of Crete, Greece here. There are earthquakes here. There are more earthquakes over here in Greece. About 20 earthquakes here in Greece alone. North and southern Greece here. You see the Aegean Sea here. Earthquakes on both sides of the Aegean Sea here. Okay? All over. Italy here. You see the foot of Italy here. Over here in Sicily, there are earthquakes. Most of these are minor earthquakes here. Most of those. We go up to central Italy here. Right here. Central Italy has about 20 quakes right here itself. USGS is not showing any of them. They're not showing any earthquakes at all. Don Patoka says YouTube just booted him. He's back. Folks, YouTube boots everybody. And while we're talking about Don Patoka getting booted, he's one of my best friends. I've known Don for almost forever. If you guys are getting booted, if YouTube is messing with you, they're going to mess with you big time. You need to make sure you stay subscribed to this channel. Make sure you check your subscriptions almost on a daily basis. Otherwise, you're going to be taken off the YouTube roster for Emergency Management Associates. They'll unsubscribe you from our program. I've noticed already today they've unsubscribed about 10 people. If you're unsubscribed, please resubscribe. 25% of everybody that watches this program is not subscribed. I would ask you to please subscribe to this channel. When you do so, also make sure you click on the little notification bell. The notification bell is right next to the bell where you subscribe to this program. Click on that notification bell. When you do, you come up with a drop-down menu of 3 items. Click on the word ALL, all. When you click on all, that should get you notified when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube does not notify everybody when we come on the air. They just don't. They don't understand why they should. My question to them has always been, why do you keep unsubscribing people? And also, why do you keep not notifying people as well? Oh, we notify people. No, you don't. Don't lie to me. I want to make sure all of you get notified when we come on the air. I want to make sure you stay subscribed to our channel. Why? Because here on this channel, you're going to get up-to-date information about emergencies and disasters that may have effect on you, including what happened on July 13th, 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania. That was an emergency, and as far as I'm concerned, it still is, because the FBI and the agencies have lied to us. The only agency that did not lie was the Pennsylvania police, both the state police, the sheriff, and the local Butler police. They did not lie. But the Secret Service and the FBI did lie, and they continue to lie. And at some point, I hope they get the needle stuck in their fingers. That's what they deserve. That's what they deserve. Anyway, going up here in Italy, we have earthquakes. We have earthquakes over here in northern Italy as well as in the Alps here. The Alps, between Italy, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. Up here in the Alps, we get 1.5, 1.7 tremors all the time. Why? Because this is the edge of the continental plate. This is the edge of the tectonic plate here. That's why we're getting earthquakes here. We're getting earthquakes here in Switzerland. We're getting earthquakes here in France. A lot of earthquakes. Most of these earthquakes are 2.5, 1.5, 1.7, 2.0 such, all over France. Down here at the border between France and Spain, we're getting 2 earthquakes, 3 earthquakes a day. 1.5 to 2.0 a day. Here in southern Spain, we get several maybe a handful of earthquakes every day. Again, 1.5, 1.7 tremors, going up to 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. Minor earthquakes. Minor earthquakes. Over here in the Strait of Gibraltar, east of Gibraltar, we're having earthquakes. Why? That Anatolian fault coming out of Turkey, Syria, runs all the way over here. East of the Strait of Gibraltar is where we get all these earthquakes. Sometimes there's only 1, 2, maybe 3 earthquakes. We've had as much as 10 earthquakes here before. About a year ago, we had a 5.0 earthquake here as well. West of the Strait of Gibraltar here, we're getting earthquakes here. 2.5, 3.5 earthquakes all over here in the Azore Islands.
Magnitude 4.0 28 minutes ago.
Okay? Over here. Folks, this is near Lisbon, Portugal. We had a 5.1 earthquake here yesterday. A 5.1 large earthquake. In all the years that I've been doing earthquakes here, I've never seen an earthquake here before. Again, this is the edge of the plate, the European plate here. It's moving. It's moving. Why are we seeing earthquakes here? Let's go back here to the center of the Atlantic Ocean here. The center of this, you see a fault line. This is the Atlantic plate, the Mid-Atlantic fault. The Mid-Atlantic fault is pushing Europe and Scandinavia in an easterly direction. It's separating Iceland here. It's going to, at some point in time, it's going to completely cut through Iceland here. Completely cut through Iceland. You see it here. The plate is expanding. It's expanding from the middle. It's going to cut Iceland in half. What has been happening here in Iceland today? last Friday we told you about a volcano that had erupted. A huge fissure eruption up to 13,000 feet long. 13,000 feet long. That's a great long distance, isn't it? It's huge. That fault line is between the road and Hoogerfeld to the right. Hoogerfeld out to the right. Okay, that's east. That's a volcano. That's a volcano. That huge fissure is right between the road here, which is the road to Greenvik. The road to Greenvik. That huge fissure that's opened up has opened up between the road and Hoogerfeld. Now, it's still moving. There is still lava fountain going on. However, now they are seeing these fissures turn into craters. They're seeing the greater part of the lava that's erupting turning the fissures into craters. Why? Because the fissure is throwing out lava and it's forming a crater. We're seeing more and more craters here. Oh, darn it. Don, I saw you were calling. I was going to take the call. Catherine, yeah, hi Don, this is Ron. You called a minute ago and I don't know why our call dropped.
Huh?
You called a minute ago and I don't know why the call dropped. What's going on?
Your picture is showing in Siberia and has not changed since you went to Siberia. It's saying that.
Oh, doggone it. I don't know why it's doing that. Dadgummit.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it now. I've got it.
Messing with me big time too. So I think it's YouTube or we're getting hacked in the United States because I know some 9/11 stuff is out right now.
That's true. That's true.
Okay?
Okay, my friend, thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, talk to you later. That was my buddy Don Patoga that you guys all see here in the chat. Don and I have been friends forever. Literally, it seems like we've known each other forever. Arnold Smith says, can somebody notify Ron? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Again, we're over in Iceland now. Okay? And I'm sorry I didn't show this to you earlier here. They've been messing. Okay? This road here goes down to Greenvik. This road goes down to Greenvik here. Now, right between this road to Greenvik and this great big huge volcanic complex to the east, that's Hoogerfeld. There's a great big 13,000 foot long fissure. That fissure is turning into craters now. Turning into craters. I believe there's at least 3 craters now. That's what's going on here in Iceland. Some of these fissures are still erupting up to 300 feet high. That's a pretty good show of lava being thrown up into the air. That's huge. But again, there's so much lava coming out of this fissure now that these fissures are turning into craters. Great big huge crater lake craters. Okay? We'll see what happens coming up in the next day or so. I hope tomorrow to be able to show you what's actually going on here live. Okay? Catherine Sigurdsson is asking, how is the Blue Lagoon? Let's go over and take a look at the Blue Lagoon, guys. You'd be surprised. The Blue Lagoon is doing fine. Before this fissure erupted on Friday, authorities had built a great big huge wall around the geothermal plant here at this area here. Okay? Underneath this huge area, there is a huge magma reservoir. That magma reservoir was pushing magma out to where the volcano is now erupting out to that huge fissure. Okay? The land now here is subsiding. Land underneath the power plant and the Blue Lagoon is subsiding. Now, the authorities have built a great big huge wall, 90 feet high. Huge wall 90 feet high to keep the lava out here. Now, the authorities do not believe the lava will even come near here or Greenville. It's mostly staying where it is and moving west. The lava is moving west along the landscape. The Blue Lagoon spa out here is very safe. It's very safe. Like I said, they built a huge wall around the spa and the power plant here. I don't expect them to have any problems here. Now, when that fissure erupted the other day, they had also built a wall around Greenville. They said that that fissure was not putting out any lava at all that would get near here to Greenville at all. This is the 10th fissure eruption here in the past year. The 10th since November last year. One fissure that erupted I believe was last December, the end of December, right after Christmas, erupted way down here, just north of Greenville. There were two fissures that opened up. The first fissure did not send any lava anywhere near Greenville. The second fissure opened up right in here, right next to Greenville. And the lava poured into Greenville and destroyed 3 homes. That's not going to happen again. Again, they have a 90-foot wall around Greenville. And it's not likely to be burst. It's not likely to be burst at all. Okay? The wall goes all the way around Greenville to the north, to the south, and to the east. Goes all the way around Greenville. Now, they evacuated Greenville again once this eruption happened. Now, I believe they have allowed some people back here in the Greenville, especially the people that work at the fish factories here. The boats go out during the first part of the morning, early in the morning. They come back here in the evening and drop off their loads of fish at these warehouses. They process the fish and send the fish processed all the way out over Iceland. They love fish here. They love fish here. Catherine said she read just a few days ago there was an uplift at the lagoon. There was. There's a great big huge magma reservoir beneath Svartsengi where the power plant is and the lagoon is. Great big huge magma reservoir, and the magma reservoir is filling with magma. That caused land rise at Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon. Now, since that fissure has erupted, there's less and less magma, and now the land is going back down. It's called subsidence. The land has gone back down. It's called subsidence. Okay? So there's no real issues at the Blue Lagoon or the power plant. The only thing that can happen now is that the wind changes and blows south over towards Svartsengi, southwest over towards Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon. That could cause problems. Why? What is the fissure putting out besides lava? SO2, sulfur dioxide, and CO2, carbon dioxide gas. Both gases are toxic. Both gases are toxic. So this gas could poison a lot of people. They had evacuated the Svartsengi power plant and put it on remote control about 2 months ago. They have evacuated the 200 plus people that were here at the Blue Lagoon. I believe the Blue Lagoon is probably still evacuated. I'll have to talk to Professor Thorvaldson tomorrow, and I'll talk to him about that. Okay? That's what's going on here in Iceland. Okay? Those people are wonderful people. Since these eruptions, I've gotten to talk to several of those people. They're wonderful people. They really are. Now, we have several earthquakes down here in in South America. This is nothing compared to what is actually happening. Down here in southwestern Chile here is a 3.9, 4.0 earthquake. Near Villa Presidente Frei, Chile, a 4.0 earthquake. Look where this earthquake is. It's in the Andes Mountains. This is 102 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. Okay? Central Chile. We go north here. This is over at the border region between Chile and Argentina. San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake here. We go to the northwest here. This is a 4.6 near Calama, Chile. 4.6, 90 kilometers deep. We go north, almost directly north. Tirana, Chile here. Tirana, Chile. This is a 4.4 earthquake. This is also 114 kilometers deep. We go almost northeast here. This is Bolivia, in the Andes Mountains of Bolivia, at the border region of Chile and Bolivia. This is a 4.2 moderate earthquake. Now, while you see these 4 earthquakes here, there's probably 18 earthquakes here. There's about 18 earthquakes here, and USGS is only showing us 4. That's a travesty. There are 3.2s, 3.5s, 4.0s all over this area. This is only what they want us to see here. We go over here into Peru. This is a 4.4 moderate earthquake here. This is in the Pampas area of Peru. This is over in the ranches and farmland area of Peru. Okay? A 4.4 moderate earthquake, 161 kilometers deep. This is still a very shallow earthquake, as earthquakes go. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Ecuador, Colombia, or Venezuela. There are earthquakes here, northern Colombia here. There are earthquakes here in Central America. There are earthquakes here in Mexico, southern Mexico. Look at this. This is Guatemala. This is a 4.3 earthquake, 81 kilometers deep, and it's just off the coast of Guatemala. The Cocos Plate here. The Cocos Plate here in western Central America. We go north here. This is off the coast of southern Mexico. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. Just 92 kilometers southwest of San Andres Playa Encantada. San Andres Playa Encantada, Mexico. 4.7 earthquake. This is 10 kilometers deep. But only one earthquake here. There happens to be 36 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. 36. And it's a travesty that the United States Geological Survey, the preeminent seismic agency in the world, is not showing anything here. That's a travesty. That is a complete travesty. Now, we have some earthquakes here in southwestern Texas. Right here. There's a swarm of earthquakes here. USGS says this is in New Mexico. It's not. Toya, Texas, El Paso, Texas area. We have earthquakes here to the northeast. Ackerley, Texas again. All of these earthquakes in Texas are oil and gas fracking earthquakes. This is a 2.3 in Ackerley, Texas today. 8.3 kilometers deep. Further to the southeast here at Westbrook, Texas. We've seen earthquakes in this area before. This is a 1.5 tremor here. Also 8.6 kilometers deep. Further to the northeast, Hermleigh, Texas. We've seen swarms of earthquakes here, and even we've had a 5.0 earthquake here in Hermleigh, Texas before. This is 8.1 kilometers deep. We go further north here. Oklahoma, where this wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat We sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oh, Oklahoma, every night my honey plow and I sit at home and talk and watch the hawk making lazy circles in the sky. Okay, I won't do any more because they'll probably give me a strike. I don't want to get a copyright strike. This is a 2.5 earthquake in Alex, Texas. Again, oil and gas, fracking. Further north, up here, this is Glencoe, Oklahoma. We've had earthquakes here as well. Oil and gas fracking operations here. This is Waynoka, Oklahoma here. This is a 1.4 tremor here. Also oil and gas fracking operations. Oklahoma has 586,000 oil and gas pumping operations. 586,000 operations here in Oklahoma. I have no clue how many they have in Texas. That's one of the reasons we have earthquakes in Texas, is because of all the oil and gas. Sorry, I drank some water and went down the wrong pipe. You see earthquakes all over Southern California. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to concentrate concentrate on all these earthquakes in Southern California. For instance, this one here. Gee whiz, come on. This one here, it's Boron, California. Boron, California. What are they doing out here? It's a mining operation. They're mining borax here to make soap. This is a 1.6 quarry blast out here at Boron, California. The same thing right here. This is a 1.5 quarry blast over here in Mojave, California. Wonderful thing. Over here in Los Angeles. Good old LA. This is View Park, Windsor Hills, California. I'm going to zoom in here. I want to show you what's actually here. What's actually here? Folks, this is a very populated area. This is a 1.1 tremor here. What else is here? What else is here just west of this housing development here? Baldwin Hills. This is the Baldwin Hills oil and gas pumping operation here in Los Angeles. We get earthquakes here frequently. We get earthquakes here frequently in the Baldwin Hills, Windsor Park area here. And that's where this earthquake came from. 1.1 tremor here, and it came from this oil and gas pumping operation here in the Baldwin Hills. That's how come we have this earthquake here. That's the reason. But this is not the only earthquake here. It's the only earthquake that they want to report. The only earthquake that they want to report. Further north here, I just love this. Camarillo, California. A 2.5 minor earthquake here. North of there, almost straight north. This is a 2.0 Fraser Park. This is just south of the San Andreas Fault. Just south of the San Andreas Fault. What is this to the north? How many of us recognize what this is? Grapevine. Grapevine. We had a series of large earthquakes here just 2 weeks ago. Just 2 weeks ago. Still we're having earthquakes here. This is a 2.4 earthquake here in the Grapevine area. Right next to it, a 1.6 tremor. Just north of it, a 1.7. To the east, a 1.4. And southeast of there, this is a 1.3. We're going to get earthquakes here. These are all aftershocks of 5.0, 5.3, 5.4 earthquakes here that happened here 2 weeks ago. Grapevine area. Grapevine area. It's going to continue. It will continue, I promise you that. Now, going over here, Fraser Park. This is just south of the San Andreas Fault. We're going to have earthquakes here because these are fault zones. These are fault zones running all throughout these hills. What's just south of there? What did we have here just 2 weeks ago? Pasadena, California. Pasadena, California, we also had a 5.2 earthquake here and a bunch of 4s as well. Now that's pretty much dried up. But I believe it's not just dried up. They're still having earthquakes, but the USGS and Caltech are lying to us about what's happening. They're not telling us. Pam Miller says it looks like spaghetti. Yes, it does. There's so many faults all over this area, it does look like spaghetti. I've seen it happen here a lot. Further south, Trabuco Canyon. I've been all over this area. This is a 0.9, 1.0 tremor. Guess what? It's on the Elsinore Fault. The Elsinore Fault at 1.0 tremor here. This is a 0.5. This is just northwest of Elsinore, California. Here we had a 4.8 earthquake here the other day. A 4.8 earthquake here just north of Elsinore, California the other day. That's one of the reasons we're having this earthquake to the north, Trabuco Canyon. The energy's still there on the Elsinore Fault. And the Elsinore Fault goes south. It goes south into San Diego County. This is a 0.8 tremor microquake at Palomar Observatory at the telescope, northeast San Diego County. South of there, this is Lake Henshaw, just northeast of Escondido. I used to live in northeast Escondido. I used to fish here at Lake Henshaw. This is a 1.0 tremor here. South of there, Julian, California. Good old Julian, California. This is 10 kilometers north of Julian, California. Guess what? Apple pie, guys. It's fall time. You can go here to Julian, California and get hot apple pie. Julian, the city of Julian, or the town of Julian, ought to pay me money for telling everybody about Julian, California. There's bed and breakfast there. There are restaurants all over Julian. There's trinket shops here in Julian. There's a museum here in Julian. It's a great place to get a hot apple pie and a hot apple cider, even cold apple cider, literally all day long. Go over to Julian, get yourself a piece of hot apple pie, and tell them that Ron Tyler from EMA told you to go there. It's a great place in northeast San Diego County. Actually, it's not northeast, it's east San Diego County, Julian, California. Just east of there, Borrego Springs, the Anza-Borrego Desert area. Anza-Borrego. This whole area here is full of earthquakes, isn't it? The Anza-Borrego Desert State Park in California, northeast San Diego County. Right now we're getting tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. Pam Miller says there's a wolf sanctuary near Julian as well. Yes, there's a wolf sanctuary. I think, what do they have there, Pam? About 35 wolves there? I think they have 35 wolves there at the wolf sanctuary. The number varies because they take and transfer out wolves to other places. It's a pretty cool area. You can go there and visit the wolves. It's a pretty cool place. Anyway, but does anybody have any questions for me tonight? I know I've covered things very quickly, and I have not even touched on the Pacific Northwest, because the Pacific Northwest is due a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. It's going to happen. It will happen. Don Pateau says it was caused by the yard sale there. No. No, it wasn't caused by the yard sale. Yes, they do have yard sales all over there. All over San Diego County. I've seen yard sales out in Julian. I've seen yard sales in my neighborhood where I used to live in Vista, Escondido, Lakeside, over in downtown, near downtown San Diego. There's all kinds of garage sales and yard sales and public sales. It's a blast. Especially on weekends, guys. You can go to yard sale to yard sale to yard sale. Tons of them. They even list yard sales on a special advertisement so people can go from one yard sale to the next, to the next, to the next. It's quite a thing. That's quite a thing. It's fun. It's fun. Do you guys have any questions for me? I know I've gone through things quite fast here, and I apologize for that. I wanted to make sure I got through with everything I wanted to teach you here today. I think it's fun to teach you guys. I love meeting you guys here. I love sharing information with you guys here. It's a kick in the pants. I really love you guys. I love you guys as like my own family. Carol will tell you that. We talk about you guys all the time. Shirley Savant says one man's treasure is another. One man's garbage is another man's treasure. Absolutely right. Folks, guess what? Let's talk about treasures. Several weeks ago at the beginning of the summer, Carol and I stopped by a yard sale. We picked up a couple things for her, just trinkets. Guess what? I haven't been golfing in years. I have not been golfing in years. Guess what I picked up? A set of golf clubs for less than $50. A bag and a set of golf clubs for less than $50. Fun. Pam Miller's asking us about Indian Springs, Nevada. Yes, we have some small tremors out in that area. It's a Walker Lane Fault area. Walker Lane Fault is moving. It's always going to move. Just tremors there right now. Any other questions? Any other questions? I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I don't see Heather here right now. She may have gone off with her doggie, taking her doggie for a walk. Don Patoka says golf may be a great attitude changer, and it is. As I chase that ball all over God's green earth, which I love. I may not be an expert. I may not get a hole-in-one. I think I've only got 2 hole-in-ones one time. That's all. I chase that white little ball all over the green grass. It gives me a chance to chill out. It gives me a chance to hit that ball all over the green grass, walk around and have a good time. Occasionally I'll have a soda. Usually I'll have several bottles of water. And by the way, guys, I do not have a crystal ball. All I have is a bottle of water. Guess what? This bottle of water doesn't tell me anything unless it's sitting on my desk without me touching the desk and the water starts moving, telling me we have a tremor going on. And that does happen. That does happen. All right. Since you guys don't have any questions pertinent to what we've been talking about, I want to go over to the scriptures. At the end of every program, we talk about wonderful things, spiritual thoughts, and I like to share a lot of things with you. Today I'm going over into 2 Timothy, one of my favorite places. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, chapter 4. 2 Timothy chapter 4. I love it. In verse 2 in chapter 4 it says, preach the word. Be instant in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. Isn't that just about the time we are in? The time will come when people will not endure sound doctrine. But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. Teachers having itching ears. True. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned into fables. That's exactly what's going on. But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry, for I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I just love the Apostle Paul here. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up to me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at the last day. And not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. Do thy diligence to come shortly unto me. Isn't that true? We must get ourselves ready to preach, teach, and exhort. The time has come for all of us to be very wary of those around us. It's interesting to note, I had a meeting at 9 a.m. this morning with the Jet Propulsion Laboratory every Tuesday morning. Right after I got through with that meeting, I wasn't off the phone with them 10 minutes. And I got a knock at the door. Actually, it was my doorbell. Ding dong! And guess who was at my door? I had people from the Jehovah's Witnesses. 2 ladies from the Jehovah's Witnesses telling me about Romans chapter 15. It's interesting how they quoted me a scripture about God loves everybody. True. And how we ought to study the scriptures. True. I quoted to them Romans chapter 1 verse 16. Romans chapter 1 verse 16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to the Jew first and also to the Greek. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. We all should be the same vein. We should not be afraid of the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's for us. It's for our families. It is for our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones. Please share the gospel of Christ with everybody. I'm also asking you also to share this program with everybody that you know. Emergency Management Associates is for everybody. Please share it far and wide. To your family, your extended family, your friends and your neighbors, the people you work with, and even the social media contacts that you have here on the internet. We want to grow this channel. Please, again, check your subscriptions. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not, resubscribe. Whether you subscribe, you also need to check and click on the little bell icon, making sure you get notified when we come on the air. We would greatly appreciate that. Let's help grow this channel. I want to thank that wonderful lady who gave us a $100 super chat. God bless you for that. We really, really do appreciate it. That means the world to me. I love you all. I love you all. Arnold Smith says, thanks, Ron, some folks in chat, but I've got to go get a pizza. Arnold, I have pizza here. Come on over. Literally. Come on over, Arnold. We got pizza here. Carol and I got a pizza here the other day. And we have tons of pizza here still. You're welcome here at the Tyler House. Elizabeth, thank you for that $100 super chat. We appreciate it so much. God bless you. We appreciate all those who give us super chats to help us keep this program on the air. We appreciate all of you who will send us donations inside of cards and letters. Our address here is 104 North Green Street, Box 105. 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. You can also, down below this video here, in our program description is our address and also our PayPal donation areas. You donate to our PayPal or our Venmo. We greatly appreciate it. I appreciate your attention to what we're doing here. I appreciate all of you for doing what you're doing. God bless you for it. We love and appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. Remember Renee Steppe. She's having surgery on Friday. Renee Steppe is a very good friend of ours, as well as an EMA family here. We love her. Remember her because she's going into surgery on Friday. Rob and his wife are leaving on a vacation to take a cruise out of New York, and they're going to be leaving on, I think, Friday morning, or actually Thursday night. I think they're pulling out, staying in a hotel in New York on Thursday night, pulling onto the cruise ship on Friday. And they're going to go cruising to the north. God bless them as well. Keep them in your prayers, so they'll be safe as well. God bless you all. God bless each one of us. Remember us all in your prayers. We appreciate that so much. God bless you. God be with you. And I truly mean that. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. I hope you have a good night and better tomorrow. Have fun, guys. Enjoy your day. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.